Stand-up comedy conclusion. There's a there's a natural process called time, and like with time and with style, it's like you gotta keep up with the style, or you look like you're from the forest or something like me. Wearing camouflage in the middle of Seattle, Washington. A city. In time, if you don't keep up with time and you just say it doesn't happen in the world, it doesn't happen on the earth, the body will give an indication like my behavior just gave, like, ooh, not always fun when you get older, and you need, extra services, and you need people to take care of you you've maybe disregarded your whole life, and then have to maybe suffer a little bit because you just choose just to say no for the whole time you're alive, and the whole time you're alive, time keeps going forward. And I remember when I was little, it used to be like, oh man, I'm scared to get old and die. It's like, oh, gosh dang it, that's like the only thing I was really afraid of. And so there's these indicators, brain, body, mind, with something like comedy, where there's all kinds of chemicals and descriptions I don't have in my memory yet from books that I haven't been able to buy. Eventually, okay, we'll go through serotonin, dopamine, and all the other stuff, or I'll go through them on a video, but for now, those chemicals happening from laughing, from having fun, for some people gets to be addictive. There's been suicide with stand-up comedians and with people who make a living getting other folks to laugh. I don't have like notes, and this stuff gets tragic, it's like an emotion, like, oh, you have an emotion of like memory, like, oh, I gotta eat soon, I'm like a little worn out, And another indicator to not just use comedy to get some sort of benefit for your body. In other words, another way to describe, with stimulus. Comedy can stimulate your body until you fall asleep from just exhaustion. And then eventually, socially, you're making more friends, you're meeting new people, and they're laughing and you're laughing, and you go out more, and there's a whole lifestyle with the reward system, the reward being, making people happy and laugh and have fun. I don't have any friends in Seattle, not because I'm mean or angry, unless I look like the wolf, then it's like, oh, okay, maybe I am angry and mean, but I meet people and I think they're nice and stuff, but my best friend Rio, he lives up in Bellingham, and not like it's like unusual. I've always had like 1, 2 good friends, and and stuff, but I'm not very socially smart, very stupid, unfortunately. So I just have fun. I don't get depressed, it's like, for some people, they don't have friends around, they get sad. I don't have the same emotional connection to social life. So stuff like comedy, stuff like, pausing, taking a breath are all beneficial for long time and big amounts of time spent learning, thinking, having thought, trying to get into medical school, trying to start an engineering business called Blue Circle Technology, learning about geoengineering, learning about neuromedical engineering, learning about neuroscience, learning about philosophy, learning about medicine, to be a doctor. The comedy, these videos, journal writing, they speed up the thinking. You start thinking like you're talking, and with videos and comedy, on videos, and then these videos for my application for graduate school, for medical school, get my thinking sped up where I can explain what I'm having a thought about. In other words, your brain gets to give energy into the world. And especially important nowadays because everyone's going around, at least here in this city, telling everyone, the solutions to all the problems. Mostly with, social stuff. Being nice. Being conscious. And, having conversations in those kinds of parts of the world with those kinds of people don't always get to be very chemically balanced. They might not like emotion. They might not like fast. They might only like the casual conversation where you only say a few words, a few words, a few words. And time doesn't get to just be spontaneous. Time doesn't get to be numbers. Time doesn't get to be hours. Time doesn't get to be seconds or minutes. Time gets to be what each person are doing with their energy, their brains, minds, and bodies. And their minds, are always different. So you don't know if you're talking to someone who's got, a mind, or you don't know if you're always talking to someone who has only a body. People don't have to have psychological cognition, body, brain, mind. People can have consciousness. So with the body aside, body, brain, and mind, comedy helps with some of the mistakes along the way, trying to not only explain stuff for a school in the future that I might not get in because of a test, or I might not even get an interview, to say, hey, I got this neuroscience book, have you ever, about neurophilosophy and psychology and psychiatry, and I hope you'll let me sit in a seat in your classroom so I can be a professional and, help people with wellness and health. It's a long shot, I know, but, that's why I do comedy. The comedy frees the mind. Trying to explain stuff like mind, body, brain, I was trying to explain it to a nurse earlier today at the hospital, and she just said, whoa, it's way over my head, And the guy at the front desk, went straight for the emotion. Almost every time people go for, what are you feeling right now? It's like, whoa, anger, You know, I had a emotion, and I said, you know, well, it's, you know, it's just different for everybody, you know. But I think being able to free the mind from working with the brain so hard with the memory, the words, the, you know, the descriptions, the language, and most of all the ideas, to have a system with processes like psychological cognition and then social cognition. We understand visual cognition from what I can see. No pun intended, if you're a neuro-ophthalmologist. There's a book called Visual Cognition. There's visual neuroscience. You know, the image goes in through the eyes, and then we figured out where it goes in the brain. Or maybe it goes straight to your toe. That'd be a crazy connection to make, you know, just... And it goes back up, and you're like, oh, it's far. It's like, you know, it's like going on a river. And then you get to the end of the river, and it's just, and you hit the shore, and you're like, oh, I guess we're there. And you're like, oh, where did all the water go? Oh, it's, you know, it's like, I don't know, I think an elephant drank it. With comedy, you get to let the mind have a rest. You let the brain give the language to explain, you know, what's maybe humorous. Make a joke. Make fun of the mind, you know, too. Use, you know, stupid, you know, start talking to yourself. Yourself, you know, the mind. You know, well, you know, maybe some people don't do self-mind, but I think that's helpful for some people to think of their mind as their self, you know, to listen to their self, you know. Some people say. Not as I think exciting as some other choices and options available, but kind of possible. And, you know, a source of forgetfulness for me, because it's like, okay, I'm listening, I've been listening the whole time, I've just been pausing. It's like, well, I still don't hear myself, you know. And then, you know, you get into kind of a back and forth with your mind, and there is a little bit of risk involved to get too far, and it's like you can't have that psychological cognition anymore to recognize, like, oh, my eyes are a little tired, like, you know, my social worker says, hey, you look ugly. And, like, you know, okay, I'll try to sleep 13 hours instead of 10 hours. But, you know, when you do a lot of music, when you do a lot of comedy, and then you do a lot of learning, and you do a lot of schoolwork, then you can't always look pretty. I think it's great to be beautiful and, you know, sexy and thrilling, but the body gets tired, the body gets worn out, and then the body sleeps. But recognizing visually, you know, that's not as precise as it sounds. It's like, you know, trying to recognize, you know, cognitively, okay, how much time? 15 minutes? Okay, I'm going to try to do this conclusion in 15 minutes, but not being totally accurate. The person could be sick, you know. They could be like the wolf, too, you know, just hungry.